Chafing Armor Podcast, Episode 6. I call a moratorium on all bear puns. Welcome to the 6th episode of the Chafing Armor Podcast. I'm your host and lovable Dungeon Master, Michael Corley. Joining me on this very special episode today is Lee. Lee, please tell everyone who you are playing.
G'day everyone, my name's Lee. I'm playing Osokai, the Shifter Ranger.
Excellent. Now, as our wonderful listeners will note, Osokai vanished at the beginning of episode 4. He was not to be seen by the other players, and we do not know what became of him until now. Osokai, you had just finished killing gooey zombies. They were rather disgusting. You go to the river to wash yourself. Not surprisingly, the river is soft in the soil nearby. You step into the river and begin to bend down to wash your hands from the disgusting goo from the zombies, when the ground itself opens up and swallows you. You are hurtling down into the earth. You can't breathe. The earth itself is suffocating you until suddenly you come out into an opening in the ground. You hurtle downwards, and I would like you to roll a dexterity check for me.
Alrighty, rolling dexterity. 19. You'd think I have it here. 2, so that's a 21.
All right, so what that means is that instead of falling flat on your face, as many others would have done, you land in a perfect 3-point superhero landing. Both feet on the ground, one hand planted. You look awesome. You look around and you see an elf maiden, a young female wood elf. She is dressed in leather armor. She has intricate headband covering her head. She is holding a staff, and she is pointing in front of you. And she calls out in Elven, "Attack!" What are you going to do?
How big is the space that I'm in?
You are in a fairly large tunnel. It's probably about 10 feet across. It's fairly uniform, but you're not quite sure if it's, in this quick moment, if it's man-made or hewn by some kind of beast. You're not really sure at the moment. It's mostly rock with some kind of dirt outcroppings. She is standing about 6 feet away from you and is pointing in the other direction down the passageway.
So she's not pointing at me and saying attack.
Exactly. And in fact, you did think that for a moment, that maybe she was pointing at you, but you realize that she's actually pointing over your shoulder. And you're not really sure if she's saying something attack you or if she's saying you attack something. It's actually not quite clear, but you think she's saying for you to attack something.
Okay, so if I look in the direction she's pointing, do I see anything?
As a matter of fact, you do. You look over your shoulder and you see 2 dog-like creatures. They are, and you are very familiar with them from your time out in the wilderness, kobolds. Both of them, there's something slightly off about them. Their faces look misshapen somehow. In this somewhat dim lighting, it's hard to make out. You're not quite sure where the light's coming from, but you have low vision. But there's something wrong with their faces. They are both snarling at you. One of them has an axe, and the other has a scimitar.
Okay, so Osokai is true neutral. So my thought is he's not going to move until they do.
That is very consistent with your character. Both of them snarl at you, and then they kind of pause because they're not quite sure like what you're doing here. You basically just appeared out of the ceiling, and so they're not quite sure what to do with you either. They making gestures like maybe they want to kind of ease past you to get the elf woman. The elf woman is looking at you, and she says again in Elven, what is wrong with you? Attack!
Why?
She has a look of utter puzzlement on her face, and she says, because you are my bear. I summon you.
I have no idea who you are. Why should I do anything you say?
One of the kobolds in very broken common says, out of way, big. You assume he's talking to you.
I turn to the one speaking and say, why?
Now it is his turn to look utterly dumbfounded. There's this beautiful moment where both sides on either side of you, the two kobolds and the elf woman, they have no idea what to do. They're just dumbfounded that this huge bear-like man with this enormous beard came barreling in out of the ceiling and is now saying, what's going on, you guys? But the one with the scimitar, you have the sense maybe he's a little bit more of the leader. He gestures to the one with the axe, and he says, enough! Kill him! And the one with the axe readies it and begins to run at you. Would you like to roll for initiative?
Before that, I'm going to attempt to roar myself and intimidate all parties involved.
Very good. Roll for that.
That is a 14, and my intimidate is +4, so that's 18 to intimidate.
All right, I'd like you to describe what you do.
Osukai drops slightly, resting on his arms, and just roars an almighty roar of stop.
Here's what happens. The elf woman takes a half step back. You're kind of trying to keep an eye on both parties at this moment. The one with the axe just clearly goes, forget this. He turns and he runs. The one with the scimitar makes as if to stop him, but then he realizes he's alone against the elf woman and you. And then he turns and runs as well. He wants no part of this. One thing that you know, and perhaps wisely why you decided to do that, is that ultimately kobolds are cowards, and they will usually only fight when they have some very superior numbers. And this was, at best, an even fight, and probably not that. So both of them just hightail it down the corridor. The elf woman walks up to you, and she looks you up and down, and she says, I do not understand. I summon you. You are not a bear.
Osukai, I'll just look at her quizzically with one eyebrow raised.
She looks you up and down, and she leans forward slightly, and she gently kind of taps you. Like, not an attack, just like almost like a making sure you're real kind of thing. And she says, well, if you are not my bear, then where did you come from?
You saw me fall out of the sky, right?
Yes, but my bear was supposed to come. It is what I do. I am druid. I summon my bear, and it kills things for me. But you are not my bear. This is just wrong. And now, in the distance, where you heard where the kobolds ran, you are beginning to hear noises, and it sounds like maybe more than two kobolds are coming. And she says, "Quickly, we should not stay here. It is not safe." She's turning to go back the other direction. Are you going to come with her, or are you going to stay here?
I don't want to give the elven woman the impression that I am hers to command, so I will follow and attempt to pass if possible.
All right. You walk and you stride forward. Now, this is a small elf woman, so if you're trying to pass her, you most certainly can. She is slowly trailing behind you. Now, up ahead, the underground corridor branches off in 3 different directions: left, center, and right. So you can either wait to see which way she goes, or you can pick a direction.
Or, if possible, can I do a quick dungeoneering check to find out if any of these pathways might go up towards what I believe would be the surface?
Absolutely. Roll that.
All right, rolling. That's a 17 with my knowledge dungeoneering of 2. That makes it 19.
You are almost certain that the center path leads upwards. Now, whether or not it's going to lead you out of here, you don't know, but you're almost certainly that the right path is downwards. You're not sure about the left path. It's at least going, steady on, but the right path and the center path does appear to be going upwards, and you think that may lead you out.
Well, Osakai has nothing else to go on except he was dragged down, so center path it is.
You begin making your way up the center path. It begins to get hot, which, may or may not be significant, but it doesn't feel like a normal hot, like simply you're going up towards the exit. Plus, outside, it's cool-ish outside. And it's beginning to get warmer and warmer. And you notice in a couple of different places that metal is slightly protruding from the walls.
Metal?
Yes, you've never seen anything quite like it. You look a little closer, and it seems like it's a pipe. This is D&D, but y'all have pipes. But y'all don't really have, networks of pipes. You've never seen anything quite like this. There are huge bolts going in at regular intervals. And the pipe is giving off a great deal of heat. And in a couple of places, you can see little whispers of steam escaping from the pipes. This is very unusual, and you've never seen anything quite like this. Then from behind you, you hear the voice of the elf woman say, "Yeah, he's very bad. He's very bad. This is destroying forest. This is very bad." And she spits on one of the pipes, and the spit hisses as it evaporates. And she looks at you and says, "You really are not my bear, are you?"
In response, Osakai I will simply grunt. And I'm also going to take a quick spit on the pipe itself. I want the thinking is Osakai is formulating a plan.
Okay. You spit on the pipe, and it hisses and bubbles and evaporates.
How far up the center passage is this one?
About 50 feet. You began seeing little bits of it poking out from the dirt, but now part of it is fully exposed. You're about 50 feet up the tunnel.
Okay. Can we hear the kobolds coming up behind us?
I will not require a roll. You can absolutely hear kobolds coming up. You're not quite sure if it's the entire group that you heard earlier or if perhaps they split up, but definitely more than 2 are coming up the tunnel.
Okay, so very quickly, I want to put my pack down, remove my grappling hook and the 50 feet of hemp rope that's in my pack, and create a grappling rope and attach it to the pipe.
You are successful in doing so. It is easily hooked around the edge of the pipe and hooks on closely to one of the exposed, jutting out areas where the various rivets are. You now hear the sounds getting louder and louder, and just in the distance with your low-light vision, you can make out 5 kobolds, led by the one in the scimitar, with the scimitar coming up the path.
Okay, so I want to give a quick test tug on the rope just to see if I can gauge how much strength it would require to damage the pipe enough to release the steam.
Okay. I rolled very low, which in this case for you means that you think that because of your prodigious strength, I believe you have an 18 strength, that you would be able to pull this loose, or at least you think you could, with a good hard tug.
Okay, so I want to nod my head towards the elf woman to continue on up the pathway while I follow behind her mildly quickly, trailing out rope until the kobolds get within about 5 feet of the steam pipe, and then I want to give it a yank.
All right, I would like you to roll a roll a 20-sided dice.
Okay. Come on, baby. I need you to work right now. Okay, that's a 12, so that's 16? Yes, plus 4, so that's 16.
That will succeed. It does not fantastically succeed. However, it does succeed. So what happens is the kobolds see you in the distance, and the leader with the scimitar yells a command of charge. You do not speak kobold, but it's pretty obvious, something like, kill, kill, and they begin to run towards you. You grab hold of the rope with both hands and just heave backwards, and your knotted muscles just strain against it, and you hear a popping noise as 1, 2, 3 of the rivets come loose, and then it literally rips out of the wall, and boiling hot steam just empties over the kobolds. And oops. 2 of them are instantly killed. They are charbroiled in this steam, and the smell of burnt fur wafts up to you. The other 3 manage to escape in time. However, one of them takes 5 points of damage. So one of them, not the leader sort of jumped to the side, but one of the others is badly scalded as they come towards you. And now I would like you to roll for initiative.
Alrighty, rolling for initiative. That is a 13.
Excellent. Now, the kobolds did not roll as well as you, and I really need to stop dropping that dice. This is why I need a dice thing. However, the elf woman rolls a natural 20, so she goes first. She holds her hand forward, and you see vines creep out from the ground. And let me roll this attempt to save. Nope. 2 of the kobolds are snared in vines as they are coming up. That leaves just one of them, one of the ones who had been partially burned, but he's now in a frenzy, and he's coming towards you, but it's your turn.
Okay, so we have a kobold in a frenzy. I'm just going to charge.
And are you going to attack with a weapon, or your claws, or what have you?
I'm just going for a tackle at this point.
All right, roll for that.
That is a 19 to hit.
As you would imagine, that succeeds.
Oh, wait, sorry, that was a 19 to hit, plus 5, so that's a 24. So, yeah, that's just to make him prone.
then that succeeds. You charge and slam into him and knock him to the ground. Now, it is his turn, and he is going to get back up, which means that you get an attack of opportunity. So go ahead and roll for a basic attack.
Okay. That's a 19 again.
Doing well tonight. Roll for damage.
So this would be unarmed damage, yes? Because I don't have a weapon out, so...
That is correct.
Okay, so... my unarmed is... D6. So... that is a 5 damage.
And with that extra 5 damage, you actually kill him. So he is trying to pick himself up off the ground, and you just slam your fist into his face as he is getting up. It pops off the back of the wall that he backs into, cracks his skull, and he slumps to the ground and does not move. Now, one of the kobolds is busy trying to remove himself from the vines. The other one does take out a dagger, and he throws it at you. And he rolls an 11 plus 2 for 13. Is that better than your armor?
No, it is not.
Well, too bad for him. So I'm going to say that you just slightly step to the side, and the knife flies harmlessly by. You hear a slight curse as it comes close to hitting the elf maiden, but it does not strike her. And now it is her turn again, and she is stepping past you, and she is moving into combat range with the others. She pulls out her staff and attacks. And she rolls an 11 plus 3, so for 14, that does hit. And I dropped it again. I really need a box. And she does 8 points of damage, and so she smashes her staff into the one who threw the knife. And now it is your turn.
How far away is the kobold with the scimitar?
About 10 feet away.
Who is he focused on? Can I tell that?
He is focused on the elf maiden because she has moved in front of you to attack. She is not the one. He has been trying to free himself, and so he's been more focused on that, but then he noticed her as she came up and smacked his companion in the head.
And between him and us, I assume would be the steam jet?
They're actually past it. So they're no longer in the radius of it. They've come past it, which is why the others took damage. But they're past it now.
I am going to gather up the rope and the grappling hook, and I'm going to attempt to throw it at the goblin or the kobold with the scimitar. That will be a ranged touch attack with a -4 penalty, I believe.
All right, go for that.
Natural 20, but it's a skill check, so it doesn't matter. It's a skill check, so it doesn't matter. So that's 16.
Gotcha. But still, 16 is going to succeed. But I guess maybe with a natural 20, not being a skill check, it doesn't do something amazing. But nevertheless, you manage to wrap it around the kobold. What I'm going to say is that your claw actually hooks itself in the metal rings where the leather meets. So it's not actually like it's wrapped around his neck or anything, but it is hooked into his armor.
Nice. And then I'm just going to give it a good yank. All
right. Go ahead and roll a percentage die for me, if you don't mind.
Okay. So that's 2d10. That is 91.
Okay, so this is what happens, is you just yank it forward, and if you had rolled low, it would have pulled him forward, but the armor would have come loose. But since you rolled so high on the percentage, what happens is you actually rip him out of the vines. Remember, he was trying to free himself from the vines. He's now coming straight towards you, and because you did this cool maneuver instead of just a boring attack, I'm going to allow you to get an extra hit on him as he comes flying towards you and your waiting fists. So roll to attack.
Okay, this is going to be awesome, hopefully. Roll to attack. That is a natty 20.
Oh, that's beautiful. So
that's double unarmed damage. So that's a D6. And that is a 12.
12 damage. Beautiful. So this is what happens. You throw your grappling hook. It snags around the metal chink in his armor. You pull forward, and there's this moment of like almost Warner Brothers cartoon of like, huh? As he is just yanked out of the vines. You hear the vines rip free from his legs. One of his boots is still stuck in the vines. He comes hurtling towards you, and he has just enough time to turn and look at you and go like, whoa, as your fist just buries into his face. His head snaps backwards, and his neck breaks, and he continues past you another 5 feet and lands heavily on the ground, dead. And now the last kobold is going to try to hit her. He actually succeeds. He hits her with his axe, and he does 7 points of damage to her. I think maybe she was distracted looking at your super sweet move, but he does 7 points of damage to her. So he gets a good hit in with the axe. And I believe that it is now her turn. So she responds in kind with a 9. That is actually not going to succeed. So it is now your turn.
Okay, so I'm going to give a victory roar, which I will also try and attempt to intimidate again by holding up the corpse that I had just obliterated both intimidate and to get the attention of the last remaining kobold.
Roll for that.
All right. That is a 13 plus 4, so 17.
That is successful because he has just watched you kill his leader in a most epic manner, and then you've just haunched up his remaining corpse. It's dangling like as if you're some kind of perverse hangman, and then you let out a roar. You actually see in his leather armor, even in the dim lighting, the sharp smell of dog piss as he wets himself and begins to cower down. And the elf woman, she points her staff at his nose, and she says, "Tell me, where are they keeping the children?" And he says, and his comment is just horrible. So at first you can't even understand anything he says. And she kind of gives him a not so friendly whack in the side of the head with her staff. And he says, in steam room. And she twirls her staff and just buries it into his head and caves in his skull, and he collapses to the ground.
Nice coup de grace.
Yes. She turns to you, and then she slumps. She actually slumps against the wall a little bit, and you realize that she's got, an axe wound in her shoulder. And she kind of puts her hand against it, and her hand comes away wet with blood. And she adjusts she tries to kind of pull it off like she's not hurt, but she clearly is. And she kind of adjusts her headdress and, makes like it's no big deal. But there's a big nasty wound on her shoulder.
Okay. It's obvious, but also I will ask her if she is badly hurt.
I am fine, but you can tell she's lying. She is badly hurt. Or at least she seems to be. Okay.
I speak Elvish, so there's no need for common speak. So it's a fluent translation between the two of us. I will ask, do you have cloth or bandages?
She nods and she unslings her pack. And she opens it. You notice that she kind of is a little cagey, like she doesn't want you to see what's inside her pack. You don't know if that's just like her or if she's actually hiding something. And she reaches in and she pulls out some fairly clean, you can tell they are meant for this purpose, some clean dressings.
Okay, so I have the heal skill, so I am going to attempt to clean and dress the wound with some water from my water skin and the bandages that she's given me.
You sense a slight kindred spirit in this case, in that she doesn't quite trust you, but she also kind of senses that she also doesn't really have much choice because it's really hard to clean and bandage a shoulder wound by yourself. And so she relents, and she actually slips back her leather armor. She unhooks the front so that it will slide back and allows you to dress the wound. Would you go ahead and roll for that?
I will indeed. Okay, here we go. So it's a +3 to the roll. And that is a 14, 17 for the heal.
Excellent. You dress the wound, and I'm actually going to, even though it's not technically the roots, since you rolled well and this was done appropriately, I'm going to give her 1 hit point back just from doing a good job bandaging her up. And while you're dressing her, she says, What is your name, Bear?
As I dress the wound, I blow some of the hair out of my eyes and just look at her for a while, try to assess her intent.
Do you want to do a roll for that?
Okay, I can use it untrained, so I'm going to try and sense motive, yes. Okay, that's a 13 plus 1, so 14 to the sense motive.
Okay. Now, again, you sense a kindred spirit here, not that y'all are best buds, but that this is clearly someone who is used to doing things on her own, and she is not used to trusting other people. You, at the very least, sense that she wants to trust you, but that she doesn't know if she can. And this is, you think, her best attempt at reaching out to you. You're not 100%. You just simply cannot say for 100% whether or not she has some dark ulterior motive. But as far as you can tell, she's genuinely trying to at least make some connection with you, at least so that she can trust you.
Okay. I'll remain silent until the very end of the patchwork process, the bandaging process. And then I'll look her in the eye and say, Osakai, of the Eldine Reaches.
Her eyes widen slightly when you say the Eldine Reaches, and she says, I have heard of this place. I did not know there were still people there.
Osakai gives her another quizzical look. Why would there not be?
I heard there were bad things that had happened there not long ago. Perhaps I do not know. I am Zuana, and I have been sent to recover stolen children. These children have been taken for purposes of which I do not know, and I am trying to find them. They are down here somewhere, and I must recover them.
Osakai stands back up and allows her to redress, I suppose, resituate her armor, and just gives a curt nod that he's heard and understands.
She moves just slightly towards you, not aggressively, just leans in a little bit, and she says, I think I am very lucky that I did not summon my bear and that you have come. I know not, but perhaps the gods have brought you at this time. Oh, so Kai, will you come with me and help to find these children?
Osakai, I need to stop doing that. I will help her with her pack. Her shoulder will probably be a bit stiff from the bandaging. And recover my rope and grappling hook from where I left them after the incredible takedown. Heft my own pack on my back, look at her and say, let's go.
And that's where we'll end episode 6. Thank you so much for listening today. And Lee, thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much.
You all take care. And to see and hear more, go to chafingarmor.com.